Hello, and welcome to Tales from a Sex Store. I'm Hazel, and today I have a special guest, Marrakech.
Woo! We're back.
We're
Back
back.
again.
Take 4? 5? Are we
Take
on 6 now?
5,000,003.
Yes. Yeah. So, hey, you had Marrakech dropped a
Mhm.
little tidbit on me about how you have a tale from your mom?
Mhm. No, I know. It's actually bizarre. It's actually, like, when I say it out loud, people go, "Oh, huh?"
No, that's awesome. I love that. So as a person who has a very unique relationship with her parent, I feel
Uh-huh.
that. So yes, please, I would love this story if you feel like sharing it.
Right? Oh my god, my pleasure. You'll find it funny too.
Pleasure is what we're all about here.
Ah, truly. It starts probably in, like, 6th grade for me, so 12 years old, 12, 13 years old.
Uh-huh.
And it continues into the 7th grade. It's when you start taking your, this is me in Colorado, in Boulder, and you start taking your, sex ed classes, right?
Right.
Which,
If you're lucky.
if you're lucky, and then if anybody knows who's taken a sex ed class, it's probably not that good.
Right.
So sadly. I remember us learning a lot about, a lot of, psychological disorders. Like, they wanted to talk about antisocial disorder and eating disorder, just all of these very big meta topics as opposed to being like, wellness is very important.
Right. Right.
And yeah, just like it was a very odd, programming to it. And at one point, we started digging into, the reproductive health and sexual organs and all of that, which again, right, if you're lucky to have it,
Right.
it's usually very this is how you make a baby. And
Yes.
you're like, oh, I'm 12. This is not something I'm relating to.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And at the same time, it was the start of people experiencing blowjobs and having sex for the first time,
Yeah.
which makes people feel super uncomfortable.
Right.
But that's also the reality of what my middle school life was. That between the ages of 13 and 14, not so much 6th grade, but 7th and 8th grade, people were starting to explore
Right.
in their sexuality and sexual experiences a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just makes adults uncomfortable. I
Right?
think
Truly.
it's one of those things where when the adult is uncomfortable and there's not really a good mechanism to talk about it, then it just trickles down and everyone becomes uncomfortable about it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Kids pick up on that.
Oh, I remember sitting in class and playing the penis game. You ever heard of that?
The penis game? No.
Yeah, this might be a Gen Z thing. It's pretty stupid. But, someone would start, whispering in class, and they'd say, "Penis." And then someone across the room would have to say it louder and louder and louder and louder until someone got caught. I never participated.
Right, right,
If you can
right.
imagine, I was, me and my little 13-year-old self sitting over in the corner in the desk being like, "This is so inappropriate and silly. We are just talking about a human appendage. It's dumb."
Right.
And one day our teacher, his name was Mr. E, teaching us health. And Mr. E had us all say penis and vagina over and over and over and over again. Penis and vagina, penis and vagina, penis and vagina, penis and vagina. Everyone's giggling, losing their shit. I don't participate. I don't say it. And at one point he's like, "Margash, come on." And Mr. E and we were friends. We were friendly, on good terms, good rapport.
Right.
He's like, "Margash, come on. Do it with the class." And I was like, "Honestly, I don't need to do this, friend." Me at 13
Right.
years old, I'm like, I actually feel totally fine saying the word penis and vagina, and I'm not gonna lose my shit into a giggle fit.
Right.
And, that is around the era that my mom was like, "You know, Marrakesh, I think you should start a sex podcast. I think young people should be able to hear from other young people about experiences, health, safety, knowledge, blah, blah, blah." She didn't say it in that way. She was just like, "Start a sex podcast, Marrakesh."
Right.
I was like, I don't even know what to I'm 13, I don't even know how to start that.
Right.
And now, almost 10 years later, a decade later, here I am on a sex podcast.
Here you are. You've made it.
Really, I've made it. Thank you, Mom. Tatiana Maxwell, what a queen.
Fantastic.
She knew before all of us knew.
I mean, I feel like that happens sometimes.
Yeah, my mom often says that I used to ask questions all the time to adults when I was a young kid that adults did not know how to respond. Not because they were like particularly inappropriate questions, they were very earnest and blunt,
Yeah.
and came from such deep curiosity. And I think a lot of other kids growing up didn't have that. Yeah, just didn't have a space where curiosity was okay,
Right?
to keep it in the simplest terms, right? And it's not like everything was perfect all the time.
Yeah.
And my mom really had um, a deep commitment to curiosity. So I'd ask her a question, how do men have sex with other men?
Right?
And she'd be like, w- well, sort of fumble her way through it, right?
Yeah.
But that's because I grew up with a gay nanny. I grew up with all of these au pairs. I grew up around the world. I grew up in a way that was very unique and led me to being very open to what the world can be if you let it.
Totally. Yeah. I vibe with that. My mom was also very open to curiosity and supportive of that. And while I didn't I don't know, I guess I kind of grew up in a unique way in that I was allowed to drop out in middle school and then little finger quotes homeschool,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which basically meant tag along with her to her college classes and help with cooking and, it was doing all the stuff all day long that my mom did.
Mhm.
At a certain point, her professors, when they were passing out
Mhm.
tests at the university, would hand me one, and
Mm,
I started
mhm.
passing them,
I believe
these
that
classes.
so fully. For knowing your entire existence, I'm like, "Yep, damn straight." She was in there going, "I got it. Thank you."
It was I loved it so much. I felt so supported and like I hadn't taken the whole semester worth of class, but I was still getting passing grades.
Yeah.
And it's I think like you, it's because I was in a home where curiosity was supported and
Mhm.
encouraged, and I was given the tools to find answers.
Mm.
And so I learned things that a lot of my friends who just went to public school and their parents weren't able to dedicate that much time to being with them, maybe, or I don't know, there's so many ways that a life is lived.
Yeah,
Um,
the tool you talking about sort of the tools to explore and learn and gather that information is interesting. Because I don't think I necessarily had tools. I definitely had a lot of freedom.
yeah.
Like, that was also a big part of it. So I had all of this time and opportunity to I was still going to school. I went through the public school system,
Mm,
um, until I went to high school, pretty much. And, in that time that I was going to public education, going through public school, I also was traveling, like, all around the world, right? My dad was so much older, he had retired, he wanted to explore the world. So by the time I was born, he was 63. A whole other separate story there for another podcast day.
Sure. Sure.
But he was 63 and he really wanted to go and be in the world, and that led to all of his kids with my mom participating in that, whether they wanted to or not, like, my siblings and I have all had different experiences with it. I was the youngest child, so I think I was also the most flexible and adaptive to all of the changes,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
My sister had to repeat her junior year of high school because of all of the traveling and various experiences we did, which you could not pay me a number of money to go back to high school for another year.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I did half of a year of high school, and that was enough for me.
And he said, "Oh, this is terrible. Thank you so much. I'm gonna
Yep.
pass."
Yep. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I did stick around for German and choir because that was allowed. You could take 2 classes and still be considered homeschooled, so I took German and choir.
Oh, that's cool.
It was fun.
He
Yeah.
This is, like, a really kind of interesting example, but when we lived in India, we lived there for a few months. And when my mom talks about it now, she's like, I really wanted you all to have the perspective of being like the racial minority in a country. I really wanted you all to feel and understand what that otherness was. And there is no way to sympathize in a way that like brings that level of understanding. Empathy, right, comes from like living and being within that practice.
Yeah.
And we had, like, a very soft, palatable, easy version of being the racial minority, right?
Right.
People were like, "Why the fuck are these little white kids here? What are you guys doing here?" Less so like, "Get the hell out of here," you
Right.
know, derogatory, angry, more just like, "I don't know why these little white kids are here in the middle of Southern India going to school."
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there was no threat of violence against you.
Yeah,
Right. Which is
and
great.
growing up.
That's good
Yeah.
for kids. Yeah.
Yeah. What? No way. So it's really interesting to think about how all of those things have led to, I think, really my curiosity and my openness, which is that growing up, I experienced so many different types of people. I was raised by so many different types of people.
Yeah.
My parents were not the only, like, parental figures in my life by any means.
Right.
I grew up with au pairs and nannies, right? I grew up with a gay nanny, in Jackson, Wyoming, pretty much, like, the only for the time that I was, like, aware of, like, the only out gay man in Jackson, Wyoming.
Right.
And growing up in all of those environments just, like, led to I think it really led to me questioning a lot of the time what this, like, idea of, like, normality
Mm.
is.
Yeah.
Really, I think I kind of grew up being like, "Nothing in my life is quote unquote normal," but then when I talk to everybody else in their life, they also feel like they're not quote unquote normal, so I kind of feel like that's a bullshit thing that we've made up.
Totally. 100% it's a bullshit thing. Agreed.
But I didn't know that at the time, right? Like, at the time, I was
Yeah.
just like, "Huh, weird, alright, like, everybody's got a different way of experiencing the world, and that's cool."
Sonder.
Mhm.
An experience of Sonder. That's great.
It makes me think about we were talking earlier, not while we were recording, but we were talking about Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four
Mhm.
Agreements,
Yes.
and one of the things he talks about, right, is this definition of, like, good and bad, that from, like, a
Yeah.
very young age, you are given really clear and explicit and then also, subversive messaging about what it means
Yes.
to be in for my case, like, what it means to be a good girl.
Right.
What does it mean to be a good girl? What does it mean to be a good boy?
Yeah.
And then you have this opportunity as you grow up to examine, he calls it the book of law. You can call it your morals, your values. You can use a million different words, but
Right.
his language that he says is the book of law.
Yeah.
And he talks about how we have these laws written into our moral code, essentially, and that we execute them and live them without necessarily agreeing with them at all.
Totally.
That because we grew up listening to this makes you good and this makes you bad, then we see someone else in the world and we say, that makes you good, that makes you bad.
Yeah.
And then you have a moment to sit with yourself, which is, do I do I really think that that's good or bad? Right? That's why I was telling Billy that I have been deconstructing those two words, good and bad, in my language.
Yeah.
So when I say something is good, I'm like, let me be more specific. Let me rephrase that so that
Right.
I can start getting a better understanding of what my book of law really is in terms of things that are quote unquote good or bad.
Right. Things that you find to be, I guess you could say, positive or negative or moral and amoral based on your personal internal compass.
Exactly. You can use all of these words that you want to explain, yeah, morality.
Yeah. So in the podcast so far, we have had this conversation kind of a lot, and we've talked about it through the language of propriety.
Mm,
I've got to get this out because every time I say the word propriety, I think of What's Up, Doc?
yep.
Barbara Streisand going down the escalator is shouted at. Don't you know the meaning of propriety?
Iconic. If you haven't seen that movie, you
You
gotta.
have to. It's amazing. And she pipes off with propriety, noun, conformity to established standards of behavior or manner suitability, rightness or justice, see etiquette.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, propriety. Also, we've talked about social norms and mores, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But one of the words that we use a lot specifically is scripts, right? These social
Yep.
scripts, the ways that we are written to behave. And Billy has talked about the egg students, especially the men come into the store and they all moving together in a group of safety, right? But
Mm-hmm.
that safety comes with these like rules of behavior. And those
Mm-hmm.
behaviors are often point at the thing that you don't understand and make fun of it. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
way, that's like the boy script for,
I experienced that yesterday at work.
mm, yeah,
This group of young men walked in. There's one woman with them. One is clearly a couple. And then there's these three men, these three young men. And one of them was just like, oh, blah, blah, blee, blue, blah, 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 blah. And clearly there was so much uncomfortability there, right?
yeah,
So much to the point that one of their friends came up. One of the other young men came up and said, "Oh, sorry for him. He's I'm sorry." And
right,
instead of engaging and being like, "Oh, it's okay. Like no worries." I turned and I engaged with the young man who was uncomfortable being in there.
yeah,
And instead of like making him feel bad or whatever, or any of the number things that go through my head before I actually speak,
yeah, the scroll bar,
uh I'm like, oh, that was an interesting thought, Marrakesh, and we are not gonna say that one out loud.
right,
But I looked at him and I was like, yeah, actually, tons of people come in here all the time and feel uncomfortable and they feel embarrassed. And that's okay. I was like, luckily, like, that's my job here is to like get to explain that I don't find things embarrassing. I don't find things shameful. I'm here to help be a resource and help you in discovering things. And that young man, instead of just continuing to be like, blah, 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 took a moment
yeah,
and was like, huh, okay. And his whole demeanor kind of changed. He was less, "Oh, look at that, and look at that, and look at that." But instead, he was like, "Huh, when someone doesn't react to me with what I could be what could easily come out of me, which would be annoyance,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And instead, I chose the path of, like, I actually, like, don't care that you're embarrassed, and not in a positive or a negative way, but I don't care in a very neutral way. That
Right.
is, like, it's neither good nor bad that you feel however you're feeling in here. I'm
Yeah.
here to acknowledge that lots of people from all different walks of life feel all different types of ways about being in the anal section, right? In the anal play section or the
Right.
kink section, right? Or even lingerie,
Right.
right? You can feel however you want to feel. It's not good or bad. It's just a part of the human experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So, out of curiosity, did he then start asking questions?
No, but he went from being sort of this like rambunctious, I gotta make fun of everything to being like, oh, I guess it's like not really that funny.
Yeah.
I just do feel uncomfortable. And this person is saying it's okay for me to feel uncomfortable. Oh,
Totally.
okay. Like, and like left the store without being like, oh my God, look at
Yeah.
that. What about this weird thing? But was instead leaving it like, all right, bye. And all of his friends continued to like apologize on his behalf.
Right.
And I was also like, it's okay. No need to apologize.
Yeah.
Not good nor bad. Just a thing.
Just a thing. Yeah, exactly. Another one of the things that Billy keeps bringing up is shame culture and purity culture and how that is a policing tool
Mm.
for men to behave in line with the
Oh,
patriarchy,
totally.
right? And that kind of behavior is harmful to the individual who is performing it, but they can't figure out a way out of that script in order to.
Totally. And we end up hurting our friends.
Yeah,
Like, that's often the occurrence of it, right? I think
right.
about being a freshman in high school,
Yeah,
and before I had ever had sex of any kind, ever, I was totally slut shamed and bullied that I ended up leaving and transitioning schools, right, from my
right.
public high school to a private high school.
Yeah,
And I think about that, and I think about the lack of support I got from my other, like, female friends. And a
yeah,
big part of that, right, is if you start talking against those scripts, if you start saying, "Hey, can we take a moment and, like, examine that?" Right? Exactly what Miguel says in his book,
yeah, exactly.
right? If you just take a moment to be like, "Do I actually believe this, or am I just saying this because, I once heard my dad call my mom a slut,
Right,
like, for flirting," you know? And so
right,
then I've ingrained this whole system and experience into my body at 13 years old, so now I'm gonna spew that at another
right.
13-year-old that I know,
Yeah,
because that goes so well, you know?
right, right. Yeah. Well, and that's growing, right? That's aging, that's
Mhm.
neuroplasticity in young people, that's the call and response testing situations. That's just that's maturation. That's how it works for kids, you know?
Yeah, and as a kid, I was very much, I don't necessarily know if this was, like, a helpful thing for myself growing up, but my mom had she had a very strict sense of what was right and what was wrong for
Yeah,
community, for caring about people,
yeah,
right? Bullying, wrong. Doing community service work, right. Good, important.
yeah,
And so I grew up in middle school and high school being kind of other for the fact
yeah,
that I didn't see the point in making more suffering, right? I was
Right.
like, we're all having a hard time anyway, like, as we are. I don't see any reason to make things harder for each other because we are struggling. But that was a very othering experience because that's the opposite script that we all grow
Yes.
up with, which is like, other someone else so that you can feel a little bit like more in the group, more in the
Yeah.
tribe, more in the social setting.
Yep.
And, I'm super thankful for it because now I'm, 25 and walking about the world, and Billy calls me charming, and I'm like, thanks. It's because I feel like life is already really frustrating and hard and overwhelming, and we have no idea what's going on in people's lives.
Right.
I don't see the purpose uh, or the enjoyment or the benefit at all in making it harder
Right.
for myself or others, which is easier said than done, right? Like, it's taken a lot of personal work. It takes a lot of community work. I've been in therapy for 6 years. Like,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of your effort and energy, and I'm thankful that that is where my energy is going to, instead of being like, "You bitches don't know how to talk." It's really embarrassing. And instead being like, "Well,
Right.
we're given the tools that we are given, and we don't all have to get along and have to be best friends and in complete harmony all the time.
Right.
It's okay."
Yeah. Yep. Nope, we don't have to get along, but we do have to live with each other. And
Mhm,
so getting along on some level, any level, even if it's just that childhood adage, the childhood saying, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all.
mhm,
And sometimes that's too much to ask.
mhm.
But for the most part, if you're just thinking grumpy, why does that have to be projected?
Totally. I also think when I think about the if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all, I often think is more about politeness
Yeah.
than kindness, too.
Yeah.
I do think that there's a difference there, right? Which is like, one is sort of like, if you don't have something nice to say, keep it to yourself, which often I think leads to like festering and building resentment and this like
Totally.
energy that starts cultivating in people's bodies and souls that are like, that, you know, whips out and takes people by
Yeah. That's
surprise, and
a really good point.
they're not necessarily intending to, be super cruel and unkind, but then, like, "Fa-pow! I've been holding on to this for 3 years, and someone said something, and it activated me, and now I'm gonna say something real mean."
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that phrase was I mean, is problematic, and taking it to that next level of if you don't have something kind to say, why?
Mm. Mhm. Because I have said many a thing to people that are deeply important to me in my life that have been kind and maybe not very nice, maybe not very
Yeah,
polite, but the ultimate
right.
truth is that, like, you're being cruel to someone who is not there to stand up for yourself. I like this what I'm thinking about
Mm,
is one time in high school. This is now at the private school that I went to. And these 2 kids were harping on another kid in their grade. They're all younger than me. It's these 2 baseball boys harping on a theater kid.
yeah,
And I turned and said, "Hmm, something must be really going on in your life and at home or somewhere that makes you feel the need to belittle someone who is not here to stand up for themselves."
right.
And these 2
Yeah,
boys, I was probably 17 when I was probably 16 when I said that, and they were 15, and I probably didn't say it as, eloquently as that. It probably came out as a 16-year-old would have said it.
right.
And I do still think that It wasn't necessarily nice, but it was kind because
Yeah,
I needed to acknowledge in my community that, like, you don't just talk shit about people for the sake of feeling better about yourself.
right.
That is, like, not what I'm here for.
Totally. Yeah, and that is a thing that is being called for by minority communities a lot right now, right?
Mhm,
Like, it's not necessarily safe for the person who is being picked on to step up for themselves. So it is
mhm,
imperative for the people who have any positioning, any stance to be the champions by just
mhm.
not letting that kind of vitriol run rampant.
Yeah. What's that bystander effect, right? Like, "Oh, like, I
Exactly.
might not need to say anything, someone else will." And if we
Right.
all think that, then nothing is ever going to change. Something that,
Right.
Tyranny, our coworker, said when we were getting coffee a few months ago was, "I want to be worthy of the world that I want to live in."
Yeah.
And that has been sitting with me a lot, which is like, yeah, to me, that is like being an active bystander, you know?
Yeah.
Another another crazy story I can tell you is one time in Seattle, this is in college. It's during COVID, so all the streets are pretty much shut down. It's mostly just pedestrians walking around like in the middle of streets, right?
Mm.
And my friend at the time, we're just roller skating around, just having a little blast by ourselves. And we see this woman and this man, they walk up to a stoplight and he presses the button and all of a sudden she turns and gets into a dead sprint away from him. Dead sprint. And so he's sitting there going, "No, this way. This way is where my apartment is. No, this way." And he doesn't go after her. Thank God. Bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like, even before that, like, oh my God. And we catch up with her, and she's wasted, plastered.
Yeah.
And I roll up to her, and I'm like, "Hi, my name is Marrakech. I'm the student body president at Seattle University, la, 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 la." Because, right, I'm like, "You have no fucking idea who I am. And the fact that you just ran away from this dude means that, like, I could also be a danger. Just because I think that I am palatable or safe doesn't actually mean that I am for everyone,
Right.
right?"
Mhm.
So I tell her some basic facts about myself, and I'm like, "This is who I am, this is what I do." And my friend and I, we walk her all the way back to her apartment, basically. And there were, I want to say, like 6 other people in the vicinity when that girl sprinted
Yeah.
away from this man. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, why is it 2 20-year-olds who are helping this other 20-year-old as opposed to like the more grown, experienced humans that were
Right.
out? Those 40-year-olds that were like, "Oh shit, that looks bad. All right, should we go grab a beer?"
Right. Yeah.
It's really easy to ignore the golden rule and to make choices that are in line with the scripts that we have grown up with and the narratives that we have grown up with than to take a minute, really reflect on what your values are, which often my value is my like number one value is love.
Yeah.
And that also can be like tough love, kind love,
Absolutely.
soft love, aggressive love. Like love shows up in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I want to be loved by the world. And that to me
Yeah.
is like encompassed by actions, by people sticking up for me at work, right?
Yeah.
That is my family helping me out when I need it. That is my friends making a meal when I am struggling. All of these
Yeah.
things culminate into what I feel love is.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was loving that stranger that I met
Right.
for the 5 minutes that I walked her home. because I was like, "You know what I would want? I would want someone to love me regardless of not knowing who I am, what my name is, what my age is, where I'm from, nothing. I want
Right.
someone to just love the fact that we are humans
Right.
and I have this opportunity to, like, love, support, and help you."
Yeah. Well, I love that so much. Yeah, we need more love in the world and less fear and hate. We need more.
And fear is a part of that. Like, there was fear that I was overstepping. There was
Yeah,
fear that, like, maybe this isn't what she wanted. But I also had to
right.
have faith that, like, if she needed something else, she would tell me. She would
Yeah,
communicate that. I had to have faith that, yeah, we could navigate those things together. And often when fear or embarrassment or shame pop up for me, I I look at it as an opportunity to be brave,
yeah,
right? Like, I look at it as an
yeah,
opportunity, like, why am I feeling this way? Is there an action or experience I can take on right now? As opposed to running away and hiding from this feeling and being like, "Oh, I don't experience that. I don't wanna talk about it. That's not in my repertoire or my universe," but instead saying, I feel really embarrassed about that thing. Why
yeah,
do I feel embarrassed? Oh, I think that I didn't treat that person the way that I believe that I should have treated them,
yeah,
right? Huh, okay. Okay, that's good to know. So now I have an opportunity to be brave and say sorry because
right.
that's the only thing that's gonna help me move on. You can't choose how anyone else is going to react or respond to anything ever, right?
Yeah,
But we have the opportunity to choose and navigate how we want to respond and act.
yeah. Hmm.
And it's easier said than done.
I was gonna say, that's a heavy weight and a heavy responsibility to own
Mhm.
yourself.
Mhm.
And it's also very liberating.
Mm, deeply. But then we have to be held accountable for when we are cruel, or we are mean,
Right,
or we did something dumb, or we did something that was a mistake.
right.
But ultimately, that's the purpose of being human, being a mammal, right? Is to exist and navigate the world, make a mistake, learn and pivot from that mistake,
Right.
decide how you want to move forward or not from that mistake. But
Yeah.
those are all your choices that you get to make.
Right. As opposed to living like a ticker tape for a
Mhm.
self-playing piano.
Mhm. But I think about the animal kingdom, right? Like, if we were all squirrels, right? Trying to
Sure.
store away what we needed in order for, like, winter and hibernation season to, like, be fed and feel well, right?
Sure.
And one of our community members had there was a mass flood, no reason of anyone's, and, oh, they didn't secure their, supplies that well, and all of their
Right.
food got flushed out of the tree.
Right.
"Oh, it was a mistake. Whoops. Now I know next year that
Right.
I gotta, like, do some things differently." And do we choose to punish, like, as an animal kingdom, do we choose to punish that squirrel? No. It's neither good nor bad, like, it's just a mistake that was made, and now you have the opportunity to learn and pivot from it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's relying on your community, and oftentimes, like, we don't see animals as being very, like, sharing to outside and other,
Right.
but that's also, like, not true either. There's so many
Right.
examples of the animal kingdom of, like, stepping in, taking care of other animals that aren't your own animals, helping rebuild nests and habitats and spaces when something happens where things are flooded out or destroyed by wildfire. We see
Right.
it all the time. And we're just another subset of those critters out there. We have the opportunity to say, oh, learning moment. I am not going to store all of my things on the open ground next to a bush. It's all going to get flooded away.
Right.
Next year, like, I'm going to go dig a little hole in a tree and make sure all my stuff is like squared away.
Right. Yeah.
You know me, I could talk about this stuff for hours and hours and hours.
I love it. I love it so much.
Makes me think of, have you heard of the book? She also has a podcast. It's by Kelsey McKinney. And I'll admit I haven't listened to much of her podcast, but her book is called You Didn't Hear This From Me, Mostly True Notes on Gossip. It's incredible. It talks about gossip as a form of connection and community and safety and rapport.
Yeah.
It talks about it as a way to digest and observe. And gossip, right, has such a negative connotation with it. It has such a negative feeling to it. And
Right.
I do think a lot of what I want to bring into the world and choose to bring oftentimes is good-hearted gossip, right? I'm not trying to talk about the shit going on in the universe, in my life, in my friend's life, in my community's life that is frivolous and brings about nothing.
Right.
I'm trying to gossip as a way for us to see each other and recognize each other and share these difficulties together and bring each other together when maybe it's really hard for us to reach out and have the assumption that not everyone's going to be a bystander and someone will help us.
Right. I love that. I love that. Good-hearted gossip.
Good-hearted gossip.
I'll put a link to that author's page or something like that, the book, maybe, in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll send you should listen to it. I feel like you would love it.
I'm in, for sure.
And her podcast is all about her and her co-host just taking other people's gossip that they get submitted
Mhm.
into their show and talking about it. They just talk about other people's lives and their experience. And the response that people write back are like, this made me feel so seen, right? Kind of like Reddit. All of these places where people like share their stories. And then
Right.
other people go, you too? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Me three.
That's really great that people are consciously, conscientiously choosing to make these spaces of positivity, especially when they're helping us redefine things that we have a knee-jerk judgment call on, like gossip.
Mm. Oh, she also comes from a Catholic background. Like, there's so many layers to her growing up that plays into her really interesting understanding and perspective on gossip, right? She
Yeah.
talks at one point about them gossiping, and I put that in quotes. Not everyone can see me doing that, or anyone will see me doing that, but, like, she talks about gossiping about their friend's dad's death,
Yeah.
and teachers saying, "Don't gossip. Don't gossip about people's lives. Don't."
Right.
But really all that is happening there is young people trying to navigate and figure out something that is, like, very apparent in all of our lives: death.
Right.
It's them trying to figure out, like, do we say something to our friend? Do we not say something to our friend? Like, that gossip piece is people discussing and trying to figure out how to be together as
Yeah.
humans in this very complicated and messy world.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. All about communication.
Ugh, that's the name of the game, and also easier said than done.
For
Everything
real,
is
though.
easier said than done.
Yeah, that is true.
And it does make me think about, like, why is harshness, meanness, negativity, anger easier
Yeah.
than forgiveness, softness, kindness. And I think it's different for everyone, but we've gotten to a place right now, at least in the US and around the world, where I think harshness and anger is a lot easier of a response than compassion and softness.
I think it's a form of protecting oneself.
Yes.
It's very safe to be angry.
Mhm.
And when everybody's being angry, it's really scary to be
And
soft.
isolating. And then
Mhm.
everyone feels so disconnected and unsupported.
Right. Well, and then choosing to be soft in that environment is really scary.
Yeah, it is. I say it all the time in my family. I'm the softest motherfucker of the bunch.
Such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, thanks. But that's another thing that I used to feel embarrassed about,
Yeah.
right? Like I used to be like, "Oh, God, I can't take anything. I'm such a baby." And I've transitioned that into life is hard, and I have the opportunity to hold with a really, really sweet, tender gentleness the experiences that the people that I love are having. That's what that
Yeah.
softness brings to me.
Yeah.
People come to me when they want to feel heard and felt and seen,
Yeah.
and that brings a lot of value to my life.
I love that so much.
Yeah. Trying to
Ugh.
bring it up, end on a high note, you know?
Totally. Totally. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, wow.
Me chatting with you, I'm like, "Oh, besties, we're just hanging out." I'm like, "I want Billy to get in on this
I
conversation. I want
know,
us to
right?
chat about it," you know?
Right? Yeah.
I'm like, "Billy, let's hang out. I can't wait for us to hang out."
Totally. It's gonna be beautiful.
And that's also, like, 2 people who experience the world in very different ways, like, choosing to engage with each other as opposed to just, like, being like, "Ugh, you don't get it." You
Right.
know? Like, it's so easy to choose to like, "Oh, you don't get it, whatever," but instead I'm like, "Oh, I do get it. You like having your opinions and thoughts and things about the world? So do I. Let us chat, my dear."
Right. Learn about each other.
Yeah, that's also the name of the game of
Right?
life, right? Like,
Yeah.
do it or don't, and if you don't, you're probably gonna face some pretty negative and severe repercussions.
Well, and you're probably just gonna end up living miserable because just because you don't doesn't mean it's not still there and it's not going away.
Correct. Mhm.
Yeah. It won't go away. The world is not a monoculture, and you can't
No.
exist in a perfect little bubble of monoculture and interact with the world.
None of us are really a monolith. If you take any of us sort of like as humans, as Americans, as North Americans, as like a continent, whatever,
Right.
we are all so defined by the experiences that make us, and
Yeah.
none of our experiences have an explicit framework.
Right.
Because if they did, right, we would be a homogenous monolith of one concept, one idea, one perspective, one thought, what is good, what is bad.
Right. We're not computers.
No. And even computers right now, they're all going to be impacted by the like biases of the coders, right? What you think is good
100%.
is going to be coded into that computer. So that
Yeah.
computer will then say, this is good and this is bad.
Yeah.
But another computer might say, actually, I think this is good and this is bad.
Right. This is great.
This is great.
This is exceptional. This is, yeah, you can't get rid of perspective. You can't get rid of different entities having different experiences.
Never.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of experiences, I need to call it. I have many experiences that I need to go have
Yes.
outside. I really
I
have to go to
love
the
that.
bathroom.
And you know what? That's so good of you, right?
Yeah.
Establishing boundaries, that's so communicative of
Well,
you,
thank
if
you.
I were to rephrase it, right?
Thank
Because
you.
to me, that good is like, "Oh, my friend is telling me, let's wrap it up." I'm saying, "Ooh, great communication and boundary explanation. Thank you.
Thank
I love
you.
that.
I
And
love
I love
you.
you." Jinx!
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You owe me a Coke
You got it.
or really
Happy
a
to.
Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper. Okay.
I
Cool
know.
beans.
Call me crazy, but I think it's a better flavor.
Mm, I'm not gonna call you crazy.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right, Marrakech, it's been an absolute pleasure. This has been Tales from a Sex Store. I'm Hazel, and I'm here with my guest co-host, Marrakech.
Yeah, I love it.
Mental hugs
Mm.
and happy orgasms.
Happy orgasms. Bye.
Hey, folks, one final addendum. Billy had mentioned wanting to do a giveaway for new sex toys that he was bringing in. So that's going to happen this May. And we are calling it Erotique's Next Top Sex Toy Giveaway. And there will be more information on the podcast that follows this, as well as a post coming in the blog. And if you follow our social medias, Instagram specifically, we will be advertising it more there. So keep an eye out and see if you can get yourself a free sex toy in exchange for a review and your honest feedback. I believe the winner of the most creative review will get to name the toy within parameters, of course. Again, none of this is set in stone yet. We're figuring out all of the semantics right now. But in the next podcast, we will talk about it more fully and with more concrete information. So keep an eye out and happy orgasms.